into simpler soluble substances which can be absorbed, assimilated, and used by the body cells. Simply put, digestion is the breaking down of food into very, very small soluble substances that your body can absorb. So the breaking down of your yam that you ate into small particles that your body can work with is what we call digestion. How the food breaks down, the bread with egg and tea that you ate this morning, how it will break down for your body to be able to absorb it and use it for its activity. That is what is called digestion. Then digestion can be extracellular, that is occurring in the alimentary canal into which the enzymes are secreted in many mammals such as vertebrates and arthropods. Extracellular means that the digestion is internal to the organism. It occurs in its alimentary canal, that is the digestive system of the animal. So that type of digestion that occurs inside or internal to the organism is called extracellular digestion. While we have another type which is called intracellular digestion. This occurs in simple animals with solid particles being engulfed and digested by phagocytotic cells. The animals are just engulfed, they are simple animals that engulf the food. For instance, in amoeba, amoeba does not have teeth and digestive system like you do. So it has to engulf its food. That is, it just surrounds the food like this, like cordon around the food, and it just takes the food. The food it forms a food vapor by engulfing the food. So that is intracellular digestion. And digestion is accomplished by digestive juices, which include your saliva, the gastric juice, your bile, intestinal juice, and the like. So there are some liquids called digestive juices that aid digestion. So they mix with the food for easy digestion. So we're talking about various digestion or various places that digestion occur in the body. The process of digestion really when you eat your food. And digestion occurs in the mouth, in the stomach, in the duodenum, in the small intestine, and so how the food moves from your mouth to the process that you eject or you excrete it. So that is what we will be looking at. So first we'll be talking about digestion in the mouth. What happens when you take your food? The teeth breaks down the food into small particles. You grind it with your teeth. You chew it, and the food is mixed with saliva. When you chew, the saliva mixes the food for you. So it softens the food for their passage down the esophagus. So when you eat, saliva mixes the food, your teeth breaks the food, and the teeth. For instance, we have 4 kinds of teeth: the incisors, canine, premolar, and molar. So it's the molars and the premolars that are responsible for the grinding and the chewing of the food. So it is then mixed with saliva to soften the food, and it then goes down your esophagus. Then we have a chemical, so to say, called thiolin, or an enzyme called thiolin that changes starch to maltose in your body. Then maltose and undigested protein now are rolled by your tongue. So tongue is also a very, very important part of digestion. The tongue rolls the food that has been converted into maltose, the starch that has been converted into maltose, then the undigested protein through to the esophagus. In the act of swallowing, when you eat, you swallow it, then it is propelled into the stomach. So the food moves from your mouth through the esophagus to the stomach. What happens in the stomach? Gastric juice is secreted by the gastric gland in the stomach. So the stomach also contains hydrochloric acid, pepsin, and renin. So it's the hydrochloric acid that produces suitable acidic medium for pepsin to work. That's the function of the hydrochloric acid that is in the stomach. Then the renin coagulates soluble protein mix to form insoluble casein for pepsin to act. So renin acts on milk. It coagulates soluble protein milk, while pepsin breaks down protein into peptones. Then the food is grinded into semi-liquid substance by redeeming contraction of the muscle, of the stomach muscle layer. The stomach grinds the food. You know, there is a grinding that occurs in the mouth. Now a further grinding into a semi-liquid substance called chyme. CHYME, chyme is the semi-liquid substance. You know, sometimes maybe you are sick or you are just constipated by something and you have eaten for a while, maybe an hour or more, and you vomit. You discover that the food is, maybe you ate rice or bread or whatever you ate. You discover that the food is in a form of pap. What has happened? What made the food? Say you ate all rice. What happened to the food that is not like that? It's because it has been worked upon by the mouth and even the stomach. Unlike when you vomit immediately you take a food, it will be different. Your vomit will be different. It indicates that the food has not been worked upon. They have not been converted into chyme. So you discover that when you vomit immediately, you get your rice back. But when it has taken some 30 minutes, 1 hour or thereabouts, you discover that the vomit will be different. So that is what has happened. The stomach has grinded the food into chyme, a semi-liquid substance. Then the chyme is then forced into the duodenum. Duodenum is a part of the small intestine. So the food is then passed to the duodenum. So what happens in the duodenum? The alkaline secretion of the wall of the small intestine neutralizes the acid from the stomach. You know, I said there is hydrochloric acid that allows the renin to work. Now, there is also a secretion of alkaline that neutralizes the acid that is coming from the stomach. Then we have pancreatic juice that is secreted from the pancreas, which flows to the duodenum via the pancreatic duct. So we have pancreatic juice now, and the pancreatic juice contains 3 main digestive enzymes, which are the amylase, the lipase, and the trypsin. So the amylase, the lipase, and the trypsin are the 3 main digestive enzymes found in the pancreatic juice of the duodenum. And the first is amylase. Amylase breaks down starch into maltose. The bile produced by the liver breaks down fat and oil into small droplets. Thereby, it facilitates the digestive action of lipase. So, majorly, what the amylase does is that it converts starch into maltose. Then lipase breaks down fats into fatty acid and glycerol. Then trypsin breaks down protein and peptones to polypeptides and amino acid. You know, the body has to break down the food substance into smaller particles, like I said earlier, that the food can easily work with. So starch has to be broken down to maltose, fat has to be broken down into fat and oil and glycerol, while protein and peptones have to be broken down to polypeptides and amino acids. So the food then moves on to the other part of the small intestine called the ileum. Then in the ileum, you find the following enzymes that works on the food. You know, there is a further breaking down that occurs here. Now, the first is lactase. Lactase changes lactose to glucose and fructose, while amylase changes starch to maltose. Then maltase changes maltose to glucose. Sucrase changes sucrose into glucose and fructose. Then ellipsin changes all peptones into amino acid. Then in the large intestine. In the large intestine, we have no digestion occurring. Digestion does not occur in the large intestine. So what occurs in the large intestine? The large intestine is mainly the storehouse for undigested food matter, and they are majorly